Hey everybody, hi, it's Lisa Rose. Welcome to In Conversation with Lisa Rose. My guest today is Tania Costantini Zimmermann. Hello, Tania.
Hi.
And we're talking about how to attract your ideal partner. And Tania and I had a catch-up call last week, and we started naturally just talking about this. And we thought it would be a really great conversation for you to listen in on, particularly if you are in a place where you've been wondering how you can attract your ideal partner. Tania and I know each other. We know each other very well. We've known each other for many, many years. We met in a week-long seminar with Sonia Choquette in Chicago, I think a few times. Like me, Tania is an energy worker. She's a healer. She's a Reiki master. She's an expert in the bars method. She's doing coaching. And most recently, she has been helping. Is it primarily women, or do you work with men too?
Mainly women, but hey, I'm open to anybody.
Yeah. So mainly she's working with women who are feeling like, they want to attract a partner. They're at a place in their life where they want to attract a partner. So that question comes up a lot. And I thought that since she's so engaged in this kind of work now, that it'd be really great for her to just, answer some questions that I'm going to pitch at her, right? So are you ready?
I am. Bring it on.
Okay.
So excited to be here with you.
I know, I'm excited too. So how to attract your ideal partner? How did you attract your ideal partner?
And actually, it's quite fresh. It's 5 months now, and you can see me. I'm still having hearts flying around me, and I'm in the love bubble, and it's all very, very fresh. And that's also where this work has started. No, that's out of my own experience. So after over 10 years of having been single and doing all kinds of inner work and attracting all kind of, all my life toxic relationships, the whole story. Last year, finally, I had a few insights which cleared even deeper stuff, and then suddenly he was there. And it was actually a person who has been in my life for a few years, who I had firmly parked in the friend zone, right? Until I call it, I updated my wish list, right? And maybe we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So suddenly I was very aware of what qualities I wanted to attract, right? And so I had this wonderful friend around me until one day the voice in my head said, "Do you remember what you are asking for?" And I was like, "Yeah, this and this and this." And the voice said, "Look at him. He has all those qualities." And it was like as if the light bulb went on. And the rest is history, as they say.
So really, in the end, you had that moment where your intuition was saying, it's in front of you. Have a closer look, have a closer look, have a closer look. Yeah, it's interesting how it nudges you that way. For me, I wanted to change jobs, and I was on a job interview, and I was being interviewed by 5 different people, mostly men. And this one person that I interviewed with, each interview was supposed to be like maximum 15 minutes, maybe 20. And with this one person, I was in there for 45 minutes and we never talked about the job. And I remember him handing me his business card. He says, "Oh, by the way, if you have any questions about the job, here's my number, give me a call." And I was thinking, either that's sincere or that's the smoothest move I have ever experienced,
Awesome.
But I remember I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about this person who I had just met. And by the way, I was in a serious, relationship. I was engaged to marry someone else, in fact. And I knew right then and there that I had met the person that, it was my ideal partner, and I must have attracted him through a job search. So had I not listened to my intuition saying, "Hey, let's go get another job. There's another opportunity." I'm thinking the opportunity is more money. They'll pay for my education. I'll get different experience. And the opportunity was actually something quite different. So when we were talking the other day, I was thinking how much intuition plays a role. But I think we need to back it all up from there, because, the intuition hit doesn't come unless the readiness is there, almost in a divine timing sort of way. What's the biggest misconception about attracting an ideal partner?
Hmm. I think there are a few, right? But I think the biggest is that it's about looks or about the way you dress, you know, that kind of external stuff. It's really not about that. It has nothing to do with that. It's really about, you know, how confident and happy you are in your body and with yourself, and what vibration, what energy you're sending out. That's really, in my point of view, what it's all about.
How do you know if you're ready to attract an ideal partner, or if you're holding back because you're just scared?
That's a really great question. How do you know that you're ready? Let's put it that way. Your surrounding, the experiences you have are like a feedback, right? So let's say you say, okay, I'm ready. I really want to have a relationship. And then look what happens, right? So what kind of guys or women get attracted to you? You know, are they the kind of guys you're looking for? Like, I can just use myself as an example. For years, I've been saying I'm ready. I wasn't actively looking, but I was ready. And yet the only guys who interested me were not available, were not interested in me. No. So at some point I said, hey, okay, there's still some more work to be done, because this is not my reality. That's not how I feel, like how I think it should be. Yeah. So if you feel you're ready, go for it. Put yourself out there and then see what happens, what experience you're have, what kind of people come into your life, right? And the same goes for, are you scared? You will only know when you put yourself out there. And then of course, the moment you meet somebody, the moment you start dating, that's going to bring up a whole new wave of things. So then it's about, okay, playing with them and looking at them and releasing and transforming them.
Yeah, I think that the question, comes most often from women who've been hurt, burned, dumped, you know what I mean? All that fear that, oh my gosh, I attracted somebody that would treat me this way, and I thought this was a good person. And then you separate from that person. You think, wait a second, I need to change something, because obviously I'm willing to accept for myself somebody who behaves this way. What is it about me? Or I think oftentimes what happens is it's the blame game. Oh, they were terrible. They were this, they were that. Maybe, yeah, they made some really bad choices and they weren't that good. But in the end, you were willing to accept somebody like that into your life and not, create the boundaries. If you're scared, I think like the same thing. I would say you have to build up trust in yourself and confidence in yourself that you can choose well. And taking a little step and, like you say, go out and just try it. Coffee isn't your whole life. You can meet someone for coffee and see how you gauge the match, instead of, well, this might be my life partner. We might have children together. If the coffee doesn't go well, forget it.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah,
told
and it's taking the pressure, taking the pressure off yourself as
of
well, because I
yourself.
find that there's so much, I want to meet the one and my twin flame
Yeah.
and soulmate and all those words. For me, I cringe a little bit, because there's so much judgment and so much expectation in them, right? And that makes it all, for me, it makes it very heavy. So I like to play with life and take it
Have fun.
so it's really like, okay, how much fun can I have right now drinking a coffee with that person, without creating a whole story of this has to be it, and without that whole list of expectations, because that's kind of like an energetic tsunami that you're throwing on the other person. No, it's also quite off-putting sometimes.
So I would only add to that, if you're not sure if you're ready, or you're not sure if you're just scared, to just give it a try. Because if you're still attracting that same type that wasn't working for you, obviously you're not ready.
Mhm.
So as you say, you'll what will be mirrored back to you is your state of being.
Yeah.
And if you're scared, sometimes we're scared over lots of things. So you can just manage that by building confidence to overcome, the fear. That's actually the easier of the two, I think. As you had said, then the more difficult one is, who is it that you're attracting? For example, if you're not quite ready, and you're out there and you're not getting quite the right person, it could be because you don't know the kind of person it is that you want to attract.
Totally. And the whole, kissing a lot of frogs thing is, um, with each person, I know ladies who've gone on lots of dates, and it's like each time they had something else, they say, oh, I don't want somebody who's like that. And each time you see something you don't want, it makes clearer what you really want.
Exactly.
Right? So you can also see it like that. You're learning something from each experience, and that hopefully helps you to gain more clarity.
How do we ensure we are not attracting codependents or other unhealthy partners while maintaining our own personal identity? Well, that's kind of like a double question, because if you're maintaining your own personal identity, you're not losing yourself in someone, which happens a lot in unhealthy relationships. And in codependent, just an elementary example is, oh, well, we're both alcoholics, so let's be non-alcoholics together. And the healing of being alcoholic separately wasn't even dealt with before they come together.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's almost like you're sticking with what you think, and somehow that will be easy. Those might require like serious professional psychological counseling before you're ready to attract someone, depending on how much of your power you constantly give away in an unhealthy relationship and how much you are willing to give up to stay in it. I think that oftentimes some women are blindsided, where they think that they're in love and they think it's a good relationship, and then something really, really awful happens, that they discover something about themselves or about the relationship or about the other person that sort of completely destroys what was a grand illusion.
Yes. And I
And
think that comes with the so desperately wanting to be in a relationship. No, that's often the case when somebody really, has been waiting for somebody so long, or really, really wants this and kind of nearly pushes it, and it's kind of puts the blind, what do you call it? What the horses wear, the
or the
blind.
blinders.
The blinders on, sorry. My English today is a bit, puts the blinders on, no, and yeah, overseas, or we all have this kind of sense of female intuition, and ignore all the alarm bells when they go on, and just push through until they realize, okay, they're in a situation that's very unpleasant.
Exactly. Intuition again, right?
Yeah, because we have it. And believe me, I've been betrayed, so many times. And if I'm really honest with myself, I always saw it coming, and there were always alarm bells, and I just choose to ignore them. So can't blame anybody else, really. Yes. And
Yeah.
also sometimes, I mean, I know from my own experience how long I stayed in very unbearable situations, just
And
because I thought he's the one.
okay,
I'm now
yeah.
going to have to stick with the addict, or the one, who's abusing me and gaslighting me and all that. It's kind of, looking back, it's great, it's scary, but so I totally know how we can get into this kind of situations. Yeah, doing our own work. No, the stronger we are in ourselves, no, the less likely we are to accept a situation like that, or we recognize it way earlier.
And sometimes when they leave, it's really a gift. You just got a gift handed to you. It looks like it's all painful at first, but it is wrapped up in, something that's going to be much more wonderful if you can just get through it and let it, forgive and let it go. Some people do stay too long, and then they're the ones that are dumped, the ones that are hanging in there, doing the work, trying to make it all work, and then they get dumped. And they feel destroyed at first, but in the end, it was just a gift, so that you're free.
It's always a gift.
Free.
Yes.
to
Yes,
go back out and see what else we want to do. So, okay, so I want to ask you this question. I think this is a hard question. What's the first step? The first step in preparing yourself to attract an ideal partner? Because I see it like you are drawing it to you based on your energy. So what's the first step?
For me, the first step is to kind of make energetic space. It is as if, in a way, many people run around with a occupied sign, on an energetic occupied sign, and they want to attract somebody, and they're still so attached to the past relationships. There's, on an energetic level, still so much there. Maybe things that still need to be healed, and so on, people that need to be let go of. So that's for me always the first step, to go in there and check out the energy and see, okay, how busy, how occupied is the person still, and then we take it from there.
Okay, so that's that is a really great answer, because the how you do it can be quite different and really needs to be tailored to the individual's experience and what they want. So it's not like we can throw up a blueprint here and say follow this,
Yeah.
this, and this. I mean, this is why working with coaches like ourselves, that help to accelerate that process or point out perspective, and be able to do some guidance. And I know you have a lot of other types of things that you bring to the mix as an energy worker as well. So this is also a tough question, but everyone asks this one. How long is it going to take me to attract my ideal partner once I feel prepared?
Oh, what a beautiful question. And there is no standard answer to that, right? It is all about your work, the inner work, and how much baggage one has, or how many things one has to go through, and it can be very quick, or maybe some people work years and years, and finally, when they've let's say transformed everything, it goes actually really quick. Yeah. And then, it's that game, what we talked before. You start seeing who are you attracting now, and then maybe it's fine tuning that a little bit. So I've had people working with me, and 3 months later they found the person, and I have worked with people for several years, and then suddenly it happened. And once you start that work, you will very immediately start seeing something shifting in your surrounding. That's for sure.
Yes, I think it depends on the person and how willing they are to do the work, to prepare themselves to be who it is that they want to be, and then doing the things that will attract somebody that is a good match with that energy level. I often think about, the young woman that I was at 21, and the kind of person that I wanted as a partner at 21 is nothing that like I wanted at let's say 40 or 50, right?
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yes.
So and I think that the way that those early relationships work out is because there's a wonderful dynamic between them, where there's still a good match, even with all the changes that life brings with them. They're still in motion. And I see the problems happen when only one partner is growing and expanding and changing, and the other one is static and stagnant and scared to change and wants everything to remain the same, because the only constant is change.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think you're saying as well, is, you have to do the work to make the change that you want to be able to attract the kind of person they have what it is that you need now. They might have not been the kind of person you wanted when they were 20 either,
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things also I do, is like, like we said before, the wish list, no? That most, especially women, have a wish list. And it's like, and that they keep updating that wish list, maybe. But what that does is, in a way, as if you keep asking the universe for something, and the universe is working on it. And but you keep changing. So sometimes the people arrive when you have already moved on.
Mhm.
So it's also one of the things I do is clearing out all those old wish lists, so to speak, and really check in with who are you now in this moment, the person you've become, right? And what are you looking for right now?
Yeah,
And
that's great.
not what does society tell you, not what you think the person should look like, etc. It's like the qualities right now. What are you looking for? And then with that clarity.
For the women or the people that you work with that successfully, let's say they changed and they drew in their ideal partner, what were some of the things that were on their list?
So more qualities, right? So it's about a person who's caring, who's nurturing, who's respectful, um, who's fun, who they can laugh with, right? Somebody they can have stimulating conversations with, whatever that means, whatever their belief system is. Some say spiritual, others say, I want an intellectual guy. Things like, I love to be in nature, so I want a person I can go out in nature with, like to really have shared experiences. I always say, imagine what would the day with that person be like, you know how would you feel with that person, how would he or she make you feel, and then take it from there. What activities would you like to have? So a lot of my clients are like myself, travelers. So of course they're looking for somebody who loves traveling too. You don't want somebody who just stays at home when you're a traveler and can't wait to get out in the world traveling again soon.
Mhm.
No, so those things, and to really bring all your senses into it, of how that person would make you feel. Um, the the children thing is of course a big issue. No, that depends a bit on the age, I think. No, I have a few clients who women who are over the age of having their own children, so they say, hey, I would really love a guy who has children, so to kind of make up for me not having my own. And others who say, no, I'm done, so it's not going to happen for me, so please, no children. So everybody's of course different, but I think it's really great to have clarity on those things.
I remember a friend of mine had met someone and she was just at the time adamant that there would be no children, right? She just didn't want stepchildren. She wasn't interested in problems that come along with family dynamics. She was looking for, someone like herself that was single, emotionally available, interesting, fun, all these sorts of things. Well, she ended up marrying and is still married a decade later to this great guy who had all those qualities and had 4 grown children and grandchildren. And she came over.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sure, Lisa, this is the one. I said, but he's got 4 kids. You said absolutely no way. She said, I know.
Yeah. So that's where the flexibility comes in, no?
Exactly.
So that we can't control everything. It's good to know, what you're looking for, and then you have to see, okay, what is really important for me, right?
Yeah.
And what are the things where I can live with, or
Right.
they don't really matter at the end of the day,
Right.
And
Right.
it's the same, some people are very strict about, smoker or non-smoker, drinker, non-drinker, no? And then you meet a person and then you have to go, okay, so he's a smoker now. What do I do with this? Do I walk away or can I live with it? And so it goes for everything else.
I remember how shocked I was when I learned that Brad Pitt was a smoker, right? I don't know if he's still a smoker, but yeah. And I was like, oh, is this now a deal breaker for me and Brad? I don't know.
Totally. For me, totally. Brad, you're gone now. No, it doesn't work.
Oh, he's going to have to quit smoking if he's going to get some of this.
Definitely. Can't have that. How disappointing.
I think we talked about this a little bit. I was going to ask you about the process that you take someone through when they're trying to attract an ideal partner, but I think you touched on it already, and if I was just going to summarize it, we're really trying to bring them to the present, really clear out the baggage that from past relationships and past mistakes that either they made or that were made against them, and understanding with clarity, who they are and what they want, and is there more work to be done, uh, and changing that checklist to be more reflective of who you are now and the qualities and values that you really want to see, not only in a person but in a relationship. Because when it becomes, you and I becomes we, there's a whole nother dynamic. And is there anything else in your process that we didn't talk about that you'd like to share?
Um, so no, thanks for that summary. That brings it quite. So I use a lot of different techniques, like you said. I'm an energy healer and a coach, and I use sound healing. You see my gongs and my bowls behind me. So there comes a point in the process where I bring the sound healing in, where it's really about getting a person vibrating at the frequency of their ideal partner. So that's kind of, where
Oh,
where we
wow.
start really getting every cell vibrating. So
Oh,
that's
that's
maybe some
fantastic.
unique that I bring that into the game as well. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought about it that way, although I use sound and Tibetan bowls when I'm doing Reiki sessions, but in order to be able to, and it does, I mean, the sound just goes through your entire body. That is brilliant. How do you figure out which frequencies they need to be either elevated and do they ever need to be descended to?
Mm-hmm. No, it's never really descending. For me, it's more like we work with intention. Yeah. So for example, as an example, okay, so what are the qualities you are looking for? So, and then with that intention, I play, and the sounds are amplifying those qualities and getting the person vibrating with those qualities, amplifying it like a lighthouse, no, starting to radiate that out, so that can then attract another person with those qualities.
I totally get that. I remember once going to a concert by Karma Moffat, who is a really well-known Tibetan singing bowl player. I think he's from Berkeley, California, if I remember correctly. And going to one of his concerts, which might be an hour and 90 minutes, and there's not a couple of bowls, there's 100 bowls and gongs and chimes and all sorts of things. And I can remember some of them, the sound would actually make me feel like I was going to throw up, like I had to like get something out, you know what I mean? It's like, it just could
Mm-hmm.
feel it. Like I wanted to just throw something up. And I think it was releasing the energy that I needed to be able to get to the frequency that I really should have been vibrating at. Something was holding me back. And I also remember into the intense feeling I had when he would create a sound that totally resonated with every cell in my body. It was like he hit that frequency and I was like, oh, I just
Yeah.
I just felt like I was, in one with the sound and with him and with, everything that was going around. You walk out of there floating, you're not even sure if you could drive.
Yes. Yes. It's
So
magic. I tell you, the sounds, I mean, I love them.
I love it.
It's incredible. They're so powerful. That sometimes that happens. No, that's when something shifts within us. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I can, that's very, very interesting to me. I think it would be interesting for anybody who's listening, if you're considering, guidance and help, working with coaches that also have these other tools in their kit to help you, could be a good way for you to go, particularly if you're struggling with, I've tried everything and I don't know what's wrong,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
particularly,
Exactly.
you
Because
know.
often then it's just something little that's
Mhm,
still there.
mhm.
Um, and then it's about finding out what it is. And the sounds are great because they go beyond our mind, and they just know what to do, as does the energy.
So I think we answered my next question actually, because I was going to ask you, what guidance do you have for people who feel like they're doing all the right things, but nothing's happening? They're not,
Mm-hmm.
they're not attracting the ideal partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a little bit what I just said. No,
Yeah, I
it's
think you already answered.
sometimes it's just one little thing. I think that being energetically occupied, what I talked about earlier, is often really a big thing, that there is still on an energetic level, still something that needs to be cleared or released.
Yeah,
And
there's lots of ways to do that too. You know, as you were saying, it could be done with your singing bowls. It could be done with a Reiki session. It could be, I do a lot of work, for example, in the Akashic Records. Maybe there's something at soul level in a past life that there is unawareness about. Maybe it's forgiveness. You haven't quite really, you think you forgave, but you haven't really done the work to forgive. You know, so it's different. It's so different for everybody. We just can't say it's okay, it's just this one thing. And if you do this,
yeah, and sometimes it's really the whole like letting go of your mind and your expectations.
what do you think about future visioning? Do you think that that's helpful to when you're trying to attract an ideal partner to go in and do future visioning where you're actually you're taking a trip to your future, have a look at around, or maybe you're rewriting your story and you're writing the story that you think is the one that you want. Do you think that those are helpful?
Um, yes, they can be helpful if you focus on the qualities and on the vibration and on how you want them to make you feel, or how you want to feel with them, like I said earlier. You know,
Right.
so not going for the, okay, the guy is tall and blonde and blue-eyed, but to go like, how does he make me feel? So I get up in the morning and he lies next in bed to me. How do I feel? um, is he a cuddly person? Is he, you know, is he showing affection or not? Is, you know, if you go on that level, if you go on that vibrational level and involve all your senses, I feel that can be then really beneficial. But not the, you know, this is how it has to look like, because then we're limiting ourselves when we go into that.
That is such a great answer, Tanya. Yeah.
Thank you.
How does it, how do you feel rather than how do things look?
Yeah.
So and that can be applied to the right if you're writing, or it could be applied if you're doing future visioning. It's like, well, what you're seeing, how do you feel about what it is that you're seeing?
Yes, because
Um,
with the feeling, with the, you go into the vibration, and then you kind of like opening the space. With the looking, you're kind of limiting it, right? Because
mhm.
if you're going like, let's just use that example, right? Tall, blonde, blue-eyed. If somebody's small, dark-haired with no hair, no, not dark-haired, no hair, and dark eyes shows up, you wouldn't even look at him,
Right.
right?
You're doing so well. I know English is what, your third language? German, Italian,
So
Spanish,
German, Italian
English.
are my mother tongue, then English, Spanish, a bit of French. I
Do
love
you work
English.
with clients in those languages, or do you work with clients in German and in Italian and in Spanish?
I
And
mainly work in English. Funnily enough, I mainly work in English because my clients are all over the world, and I love English. And in a way, all my training happens in English. So that's the language I'm most familiar with.
Mhm.
Um, but I also work in German, Italian, and Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking to us from beautiful Tenerife.
Yes. From the Canary Islands. Yes.
Yeah. So Tanya's in the Canary Islands. Those are off the kind of off the coast in South. Actually, they're off the coast of Africa, to
Yes.
Northern Africa.
Yes. Yeah.
Think about, here's a question we can ask and answer. What do you think about location being on the checklist? Does it matter where you're located? You know,
Mm.
what do you think about that? That's a tough one, isn't it? Kind of like you want to be open to everybody. Maybe you'll meet somebody in India or Saudi Arabia or, you know, New
Yes.
Zealand, but is that possible? I mean, what do you think about that?
That's such a good question, right? Because me being the traveler, so for the past 20 years, I've been traveling around, right? So since I said I'm ready for a relationship, I was always sitting on my packed suitcase going like, I'm totally flexible. I'm totally open. So wherever the guy is, I can move. I have no, you know, no attachments. No, I'm totally open to that. Not everybody has that flexibility, right? So each person has to decide, you know, if you have a job, if you are attached to your family and to your friends and you don't want to move, then you might want to look for somebody in your area.
Mhm.
No? And I've done lots of long distance relationships, and I'm so grateful that my beautiful man is now on the same island than I am, which is like a miracle. Everybody goes like, oh, so where does he live? And I'm like, on the same island, which is really like a miracle. Thanks to lockdown and everything, we were stranded on the same island. So I think that goes back to knowing who you are, knowing what you want, right? And if you're a free-spirited traveler with no attachments, then yeah, the world is your oyster. But if you want to be close to your family, close to, whatever, for whatever reasons, um,
Then
then know that.
it's a consideration for the checklist. Thanks so much. You're great. Interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
So beautiful. Cool. So exciting. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank
Okay.
you.
Aloha.
Aloha. Have a